Before an identity is established, a brand is a blank canvas. What does it want to say? How will it present itself? Will people relate? Will they connect? Will they trust it?
There are endless colors, fonts, directions, shapes.
Creating a story, a feeling, a connection.
This is a daunting but exhilarating task.
So, where do we begin?
Hi, my name is Gina Yonko, and I'm an associate designer at shark&minnow.
My name is Gracie White, and I'm an associate strategist at shark&minnow.
And this is my story.
So far in my career, I've worn a lot of hats. I was a criminal defense paralegal, I was a freelance copywriter, and my path has not been linear, but strategy was always the invisible string. I'm driven by people, and the human experience is a crucial component to strategy, especially brand strategy. It's rewarding to watch my clients' words come to life through this process, watching the brand grow and expand past the original vision, and knowing I had a hand in that.
Ever since I could remember, I had paint on my hands. I would draw on anything I could find, restaurant placemats, napkins, even on the walls. I think I've always had an artistic mind, and then my dad introduced me to a tool that would change everything, and that was PowerPoint. Yes, PowerPoint. My dad taught me the basics, and then I really ran with it. I would make logos, little labels for packaging, ads, posters, really anything. And this is what started to drive my artistic passion towards graphic design. I love making beautiful things, so graphic design seemed like a natural way to connect my love of form and color to everyday experiences. I love that I can translate my big ideas into my designs, making them more digestible and crafting stories that people can view through different lenses. And that's the real beauty of graphic design for me. I love working with Gracie on brand identities. I think we've worked on
quite a few identity projects. I really like working with Gina because we can both share perspectives judgment-free, and that friction is welcomed.
Gracie is not only one of my favorite creative partners, but one of my best friends. So when we found out we were working on this project together, I was pumped.
We were so excited.
I think we both have very different creative strengths, different experiences, and different viewpoints. And that's what makes our process so successful.
Every brand identity is a great exercise in creative problem solving. You have to balance the client's vision, what the target audience will respond to, and what makes sense for the brand's personality and story. We were approached by the Ohio Local News Initiative with the task of branding a completely community-driven newsroom. You may now know it as Signal.
Signal is one of the largest local nonprofit newsrooms in the country, geared towards Cleveland locals, providing them with trustworthy and reliable news.
Not only did we have to come up with the visual identity, but we also had to name the newsroom.
We could really take this in any direction, and it all starts with
strategy. A good brand is a kit of parts. It's a collection of experiences, and my job in these early stages is to absorb as much as I can. Then, led by our chief of strategy, I dive into research. We had the opportunity to speak with some of the founders, true veterans of the journalism world. The founders introduced us to funders, who then introduced us to documenters, who were a pretty big part of this process. During the discovery process, we lean on what we call the anatomy of a brand. Principles, presence, personality, platforms, performance, and people. We wanted to gain a higher understanding of who this newsroom was and who they were for. What are their motivations, intentions, and values? Once we can answer these questions, we can reveal recurring themes and expand upon them. One quote that stuck out to me was, "We want the community to trust the organization like they would trust themselves." And that's when I started to grasp what this newsroom was. And that's how these themes become brand pillars.
These pillars are key in brainstorming and influence every decision in the design process. Signal was a unique challenge because not only did we have to position them as prestigious and hard-hitting, but also as trustworthy and reliable, and one truly of the community. So how do we infuse all these big ideas into a single mark? Research. This is crucial at the beginning of the design process. Here I take those brand pillars and think about how I can weave in conceptual ideas and turn those into meaningful visuals. And then I message Gracie and I'm like, hey, wanna brainstorm?
And then we find the nearest whiteboard.
For the concepts, we took inspiration from newsrooms like the New York Times, Axios, and Vox, focusing on making the identity feel bold, strong, and iconic. We zoomed in on the history of Cleveland, asking ourselves, who does the community trust? What meaning can we extract from moments in our city? What inspires? and what shifted the cultural landscape. Some of the most successful logos are simple in form but rich in meaning. As designer Paul Rand once said, "Design is so simple, that's why it's so complicated." Behind every logo are countless ideas, sketches, and conceptual iterations. Every pixel, every line, every shape, meticulously planned. And finally, Signal's logo. Memorable, bold, and highly conceptual. This mark, derived from a quilt pattern, was used as a signal in the Underground Railroad, specifically in Cleveland, where the city itself acted as a crossroads to freedom. The 5 patches represent the diverse communities within our city and how their stories intersect with local news. Brand identity is more than just a logo.
It's a collection of colors, type, lines, shapes, emotion, rhythm, and stories.
When woven together, they create a brand that's truly authentic to the storytellers.